guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking to you guys about homeschool. So we have been homeschooling our kids. If you've followed our Vlogmas, you learned that we in November started homeschooling my son as well. So I am now homeschooling my 8-year-old little girl Mia and my 13-year-old son Josh. It's definitely changed the dynamics adding him into the equation. And I'm bringing this because I feel like there's so many videos that are like, oh, it's just amazing and it's this and it's that, and there are some really amazing moments, but there are some very like, oh my gosh moments. And I don't think I'm the only one out there that feels this way. If I am, then oh my goodness. But the first week with homeschooling Mia was definitely very challenging. It was just establishing a routine, establishing expectations, and just figuring out what worked best for her and myself, and also my school schedule, which is very grueling at sometimes. And so that first week was really tough. And then as we kind of got into a routine, and as we got into she understood what my expectations were, then it started to get, I don't want to say easier, because anybody who says homeschooling their children is easy, I mean, I give my hats off to you guys, because it is not easy. But it just gets better. And so we established a great routine, and I was learning so much. And I think that's the first thing I learned about homeschooling my daughter, is that I've learned so much about my child, which I think that in itself is very rewarding and worth any days that we're having headaches or things aren't getting done the way we think they should be done, or we're not on the schedule or the track that I think that we should be on. I have learned so much about her personality. I have learned so much about where she is, and I've also gotten to see how far she's grown in just the I think we're on 4, almost 5 months now that we've been homeschooling. So that's very rewarding, and just to know that I had a part in that happening is amazing. And things were going really well, and I decided to start homeschooling my 13-year-old. And so that brought on a whole other challenges and whole other dynamic to what we had going on and our routine. And we started the week of Thanksgiving break, just because Mia still had to be in school, or I was still homeschooling her for until for Monday and Tuesday. And so Monday and Tuesday my son was actually off that whole week of Thanksgiving. And so we just I kind of talked to him and showed him and established. And I don't think it was a good decision on my part. He knew that we were thinking about homeschooling him, but he didn't know when. And so he was thinking he was gonna have a whole week off, and then it turned out he was only off, but he had, that definitely was a mess up on my part. So Monday was really rough, and then Tuesday I was like, oh, I don't know. So then officially, once Thanksgiving was over, that Monday we officially started school with my son. And again, it had challenges. The same challenges that I had when I started with my daughter were the same challenges I ran into with my son. It was just instead I had 2 kids now that I had to focus on different things with, and they're both 2 different ages on 2 different curriculums. And it's not like, oh, he's a 3rd grader and she's a 2nd grader. I mean, he's an 8th grader and she's a 2nd grader. So there's a huge gap, but it's gotten so much better. And I find that when we come back, we just came back from Christmas break, and that was really rough, because they went from having 2 weeks off, and so they went from having those 2 weeks off to that Tuesday we went right back at it. And that day was a day that was oh my gosh, I honestly was questioning what I was thinking and what am I doing. But again, I think as time has gone on, we've established a routine that works for us. And I mean, I hesitate to put any type of routine video out just because we are still working on a routine that works best for us, and we still kind of like tweak it here and tweak it there. And I think that even with having a routine, there's always going to be some sort of like change and stuff, because we are dealing with things like in our house. We don't have like whereas when you're in a school, which even they have wrenches that get thrown into the mix or whatever, but we don't have like a set environment that this is what's happening. We are only learning. That's the only goal of this place. It is a home. We have chores. We have pets. You can hear my washer going off, and so there's things that are going on throughout the day that that kind of not sidetrack us, but it takes away from some of our time. Or I shouldn't say it takes away, but those are things that we also tackle throughout the day. But I've learned that just because you bought a curriculum and just because you have done research and stuff like that, that's what I'm learning right now, is I've done so much research. I've read, I've gone on blogs, I've talked to friends who homeschool, and I feel like this part of homeschooling, the beginning part of homeschooling, has gotten super expensive for us, just because curriculum wise, we've picked out a curriculum, but maybe that curriculum didn't so much work for us, and I'm trying to give it time. But and even then, there's certain things that are like, how do I say it? Not to say that we're not like about church and God and stuff like that, because we do the story of the world for our history curriculum, but I think that it really, we have a Christian-based science book for my daughter, and I think it kind of threw her off, some of the stories, especially when it talked about dinosaurs and evolution. I was like really excited about that week, thinking she was gonna be super excited about it, and she was super excited, but then it talked about creation and evolution and about some parts about dinosaurs and like how that all, I don't know, it just kind of, she got hung up on a certain spot of it, and I didn't know what to do or how to explain it to her. And so I do believe in prayer, and I do believe that that it is okay to bring religion or God and stuff. We're not super religious people. I'm just gonna put that out there. We don't go to church. We do believe in God. We do believe in making good choices and being good people, but we're not like these super religious people. And so trying to explain something to her, I don't know sometimes how to explain to her certain things that we've come across. So and I have found a lot of curriculum out there is Christian based, and so I have, like I said, I have no issue with religion, and I have no issue with bringing that into the curriculum. I do find that there is a time and a place in how that is brought into the curriculum, I guess, if that makes any sense. Right now we're trying to actually find a curriculum for my son in science that works better, that isn't religious based, and it's been very difficult to find that. So if you guys have any ideas or tips about a curriculum that's not like solely creation based, I guess I would be really interested to see and hear your feedback on that. Again, you can do so much research and stuff, and what I'm finding with my son's science curriculum, I kind of have to build on it, which is very time consuming, and I'm learning to be better with my time. I went from going to school full time and both my kids being in school during the day, and then sometimes subbing here and there, to doing YouTube, which that's always something that's like further back on the list of things that need to be done. So now I'm homeschooling and I'm going to school full time still. I haven't been able to sub as much as I would like to, and so, but I do, we actually just the other day, my kids and I went to the old school that I worked at, and we volunteered there after school hours and stuff like that. I've learned, like, I went from just focusing on schoolwork and like things around the house to like adding the homeschool and everything else. Like, I just found that before I wasn't using my time wisely, I wasn't being very efficient with my time, and now I'm learning to be a lot more efficient with my time and teaching the kids it's important to be efficient with their time as well. Something else, I feel like homeschoolers are like, oh, and I could be wrong, and I think what's really kind of, I thought that because I worked in a school and because like that's what I want to be, I thought that that would be like really give me an edge up on homeschooling my kids. But what I found, it's kind of hindered me, because I think I mentioned this in the beginning video when I talked about how we started homeschooling my daughter. I'm used to like a schedule, and this needs to be done and this needs to be done, and from this time to this time we do this, and we do have that flexibility in homeschooling to be able to like take our time with certain things or move on with certain things. But realistically, as well, as I'm learning, is that we still need to stay on track, and we still need to follow the curriculum and go get things done by certain dates in order for my kids to be on track for next year, for my daughter to be a 3rd grader, and for next year for my son to be a 9th grader. So yes, there is flexibility, and yes, you can focus more on one area, or you can slow down in areas, but you also have to keep in mind like that there is you need to stay on track, and there is a deadline that needs to be finished. And that's, I think, what's really important, because I feel like a lot of times they're like, oh, like and not to knock anybody in homeschooling or whatever, that's not what I'm trying to do. I just feel like it's flexible, but it's not as flexible as maybe people put out there. We're still working on a schedule and a routine, and I get so jealous because I watch other YouTubers out there that homeschool, and they seem to get their work done in like 4 to 5 hours maybe. That hasn't been the case for us, and I mean, my kids do take breaks in between, but there's days, like certain days of the week, they have PE at the YMCA, and so that is from 1 to 3, and they have to get lunch in between, and the nearest Y is a good distance drive from us, and so it's a lot. So there are some amazing things about being able to homeschool my kids, and I think it has brought us, because I don't want to, I felt like this video kind of sounds like, oh, this is that and this is that, but there are some amazing times, but it is also very hard. I don't want to discourage anybody from homeschooling, because I think it is very rewarding, and if you have the time, and if you have the and I would say, like, I don't even want to say patience, because I'm not a very patient person, but it teaches you to be patient. I am grateful every morning that my husband is working a job that allows him to provide us in a way that I'm able to be home with my children, and that I'm able to be the one to teach them. And it's not always easy, it's not always fun, but I have a huge part in shaping my kids, and it can be very scary at times when you think about it, and you want to make sure that you're doing what's right for your kids. And I have many moments where I panic in my own head and think, am I teaching them what they need to know? Are they getting everything that they need to know? And at the end of the day, I have to sit back and think and look where they started at and where they're at now, and just the improvement I've seen, and it's amazing. And so it's not always rainbows and gumdrops, but it is very, very fulfilling for me. And so I just wanted to put a video out there that expressed that, because I feel like a lot of times everybody's like, oh, it's fine, everything's wonderful, everything's rainbows and gumdrops and just it's so fun. But there's been some rough times, and it's just being positive and grateful and just seeing the bigger picture and what's really, really important. At this moment, homeschool is what is working for us and it's what we want to do. And but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's something that we're going to do forever. And so I don't know. I think that it is fine to change and grow. And so I'm really excited to see where we go with homeschooling and how far we get, and all the things that my kids are going to learn, and all the things that I'm teaching my kids, and all the things, which is shocking. I have learned so much from my kids by teaching them. Like, they've taught me so much. And so if you're thinking about homeschooling, it is a great opportunity. It is wonderful, but it's very hard. And you gotta kind of stick with it and be positive and roll with it and understand that you can only do what's best for your kids and not what everybody else says is best for your kids. So thanks so much for watching. That's just my take on homeschool and where we're at 4 months in. And I really appreciate your support, and I appreciate you watching. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. If you have any advice for me about homeschooling, comment down below. I am still new to this, and I would love to know if you have a channel about homeschooling, if you have a video about advice about homeschooling. I mean, please link it down below. I would like this to be a forum of where homeschool moms or moms that are thinking about homeschooling or anything like that can kind of meet up and share positive advice. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.